Hi everyone, so this is a villa that I had purchased last year in October and I've already received an offer which is almost 25% higher than my acquisition price. On top of this, for the entire year, I had been renting it out on Airbnb. So I had generated a rental yield of roughly 6% on this villa already. So if I combine both the things, then my total return on this villa is roughly 30%. Now I hear from people two things. One is that, real estate investing is really bad because I read from this mutual fund manager or this equity guy that real estate mein return hi nahi hota. RBI data tells us that real estate grows at 3-5%. Okay, this is problem one, that real estate no returns. So I'll speak about this. Second key point that I keep on hearing is that my rental yield is like really bad. I hardly am able to find properties where the rental yield is 2-3%, right? So I don't know how you are making like 5-6% also. So let me comment on all these points. I will speak in a very unbiased manner. Why? Because I invest more money in equities compared to real estate. Going forward, when I'm 50-60, my real estate investment and equity investment might be half-half. But as of now, I'm very equity heavy guy. So I have no reason to defend real estate. That is point one. Point two is that I have had practical experience of putting my own money. I have put above 10 CR across real estates in Gwalior and in Goa. People who have been following me will vouch for the fact I have given property tours of several of my properties that I own, and I will make an updated video on this as well. So to cut the long story short, whatever I am going to speak on this video in a point-wise format are all practical experiences, very recent experiences. So if you watch the video till the very end, you will understand how to buy a property, when to buy a property, should you buy a property, how to save money on it, how to compute your rental yield. All this stuff you will understand in a very practical manner. Just a humble request that please like these type of videos. It will reach out to more people. Also will act as an indicator for me to continue to make these type of videos. So chalo, let's go point by point. And the first key point that I will like to explain it to you is the difference between equity and real estate investment. High level samjhaunga because people have already spoken a lot about it. So let me give you practical perspective on it. See, while there are multiple differences between real estate and equity, for practical purposes, you need to know about three key points. मैं आपको सारे समझाने लगूं तो कोई मतलब नहीं है, right? So the first key point that I keep on hearing about real estate is that see, equity, if you buy ITC stock or if you buy Hindustan Unilever stock, you can easily sell it the very next day. Okay, but ask yourself that do you need to sell real estate every single day? How many real estate properties are you going to acquire? Maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, right? HUL के stocks या ITC के stocks आप कितनी बार खरीदते हो? So the point about liquidity, while it is correct, it is not practical. It's not as if that you have procured a property today, you're willing to sell it tomorrow at 25% gain. On that note, people who want to buy my villa, I'm not willing to sell it. I don't want to sell my property even if I'm making like 25-30% more, even 100% more. I'm just aggregating it. I have no reason to sell those. I am building my property portfolio for a very different perspective altogether. So then comes the second point about return. So I will come back to this point. Let me speak about third point first, right? So this is the role of equity and real estate in your portfolio. See, I feel that equity and real estate both have very different purposes. The purpose of equity is growth and the purpose of real estate is cash flow. Now, what is the meaning of this? Let me quickly explain it because this is a point that is not even like, people think about. See, when you're young and if your salary is, let's say 1 lakh, right? Can you or should you even consider buying like real estate? The answer is probably no, because first you build your slightly higher liquidity portfolio because in equity there is higher liquidity compared to real estate. Once you are settling in, rather than going with bond investing, in my opinion, probably investing in real estate might be a much more practical usage, right? Once you have both real estate and equity, then real estate gives you the confidence that see, if you are making like a rent of 50,000, then you know कि यार अगले महीने भी आनी है, उसके अगले महीने भी most likely आई जाएगी. So you can take slightly higher risk with this money because there is certainty of cash flow. Okay, in equity there is no certainty of cash flow. You might buy a stock or you might buy entire Nifty 50 and it might not move for the next 2 years, right? और बहुत कम growth होगी. For example, consider the market from October 2021 up until now, almost 2 years. How much returns have people made, right? Very less, right? So the point that I'm trying to tell you is that the purpose of equity is very different from the purpose of real estate. Now, if you are on the younger side, you have just started your job, you do not have a lot of discretionary income, tied up into EMI and tying your income to it, it's just a bad move, right? It's a bad financial move. You should not look at real estate at that point in time. But once you have stabilized your cash flow, थोड़ा सा पैसा है आपके पास इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए, then just because क्या है equity में सबसे ज़्यादा रिटर्न बनता है, I'll speak about that also. So just because equity में everyone is telling you return बनता है, it does not mean that you invest all your money in equity. Okay, so you need to understand it. So with that spirit, let us quickly discuss about the return side and why people are wrong about returns. Okay, see. Now equity returns, what people will typically tell you, or equity guys, they are going to tell you that that Nifty gives like 12.2% yearly CAGR, and if you look at the last 20 years return, then also you will see this play out. 100% agree. Now what about real estate, right? They will tell you that real estate gives like 3 to 5% returns. Okay, so there are 2-3 things missing in this. Okay, the first obvious thing that is missing is the rental yield. Okay, there is 2 ways in which property appreciation happens. आपने फ्लैट खरीदा, फ्लैट का अंडरलाइन बढ़ गया कि फ्लैट की कीमत बढ़ गई, and that is going up by 3 to 5%. So this is what RBI data tells us. But you have also made a rental yield. You might be renting out that flat, a 1 crore flat, at hypothetically 20,000 a month. So in a year, what is your additional yield that you are making? So you are making roughly 2.4%. So you should add this also. That's point 1. Point 2, do you think that RBI study or any other study will capture the component of black in real estate? Now think about it this way, that real estate is one angle where there is a lot of excess taxation from the government. At the time of buying real estate, you have to pay massive taxes. 6, 7, 8. In fact, 8 से भी ज़्यादा होती है. More than 8.5% stamp duty is there. Transaction charges are there. Brokerage charges are there. All that stuff is there. If you are selling real estate, then there is capital gains tax. So what would buyer and seller do in a high tax environment for real estate? They'll say, you know what? Let's deal in black, right? For example, आप Delhi जाओ, right? If you go to Delhi and buy a 2 crore property, easily you will be paying 50-60% black money. Now, do you think that that gets featured into RBI study? The short answer is no. I know of people in Goa, right? I mean, I keep on scouting for properties. I see like so many ads and all that stuff. Rent karte time, people do not even want white money, right? That is like how bad the situation is. For people who do not understand the difference between white and black money, white money means all the transaction going through your account. Everything is taxable. It's transparent, money is moving from one account to the other. On the flip side, black money means cash dealing. So that is what the difference between black and white is. Third, and the most important point about real estate investing or any form of investing is your buy price for that real estate. Now think about it in this manner, that if you go and buy DMart at highest ever valuation, or if you go and buy Zomato at highest ever valuation, how much money are you going to make? You are going to make very less money. That is typically what happens in real estate. That as normal buyers, हमें पता ही नहीं होता, कुछ भी नहीं पता real estate के बारे में. So if you are looking to buy a house, if you are looking to buy like a flat, if you are looking to buy anything, what will we do? We'll go to the builder. भाई साहब हमें कीमत बता दो. Tell us the price. We will pay that price. और थोड़ा बहुत negotiate कर देंगे. Builder would have done these kind of negotiations of selling his flat 1,000 times. How many times have you bought a flat? You have done it probably 2 times. Now, if you're going to a builder and trying to negotiate with him or her, do you think that you will be able to win in that negotiation? The answer is no. So what would end up happening is that your buy price is going to be really high. Now, the problem in real estate is that you cannot ascertain the right price of a particular real estate. For example, आपको बिल्डिंग दिखा देगा and then they will tell you nonsense like अच्छा आसपास इंटरनेशनल स्कूल है, रोडें बहुत अच्छी हैं, मेट्रो निकल रही है, मॉल है पास में and all this stuff. So therefore the price is this much. You will also get impressed कि यार ये सब है तो ठीक है यार इतनी प्राइस होनी चाहिए. भाई the price have peaked, okay, and then you are buying it. So of course you are going to buy a property at massive crazy prices. Something that should be worth 1 crore, if you end up buying it at 1.5 crore or even 2 crore, then of course your rental yield will be horrible. You will end up paying for that property through your nose, and worst part, you will try to command a higher price. Now you tell me in the comment box and honestly batana that if you buy an overinflated property which was supposed to be 1 CR and you end up buying it at 2 CR. Now if you try to sell it after 2-3 years, you will say कि यार मैंने तो 2 CR में खरीदी थी, I am not going to sell it at a loss. Problem is that you might be renting this property at like let's say 30, 35, 40k, and I am not giving you a hypothetical example here. Go check in NCR right now. This is the same situation that is playing out. Builder आपको सुहावने सपने दिखा देते हैं कि अच्छा ये बिल्डिंग आ रही है, इंटरनेशनल स्कूल आ रहा है, हाईवे कट रहा है, this that. You will overpay for that particular property and you will keep on holding that overvalued asset because you have no other option. The other person, your potential buyer, might have to be financially challenged to take such a deal where you are trying to sell them a 2 crore property and you are getting only 35k rent on it, right? So this is just like a horrible deal, and these type of things are there in Delhi NCR, at least the market that I know of, right? So you guys can comment, and this might be the situation in a lot of places. Okay, so then comes the natural question that acha, if I have to save myself from this situation, then what should I do and how should I go about it? Okay, so please understand 4% yield rule. So what is the meaning of 4% yield rule? So let me pick it up with Goa example, right? So for example, let's say that I bought my villa at 2 CR, okay, and I'm renting it out on Airbnb. So here, let's say that I'm renting it out at 80k, right? So in a year, how much am I making? So in a year, I'm making 9.6 lakh, right? So on a 2 CR, what is the percentage return? So I'm making 4.8% yield. So such a property, if you are able to scout, right, that this math is adding up. So this means that your rental yield is greater than 4%. Please notice the word that I'm talking about, rental yield. So here the rental yield is greater than 4%. So therefore this 2 CR deal makes sense for me, because in this what is happening is that your baseline is set कि 4% तो आपकी rental yield आ गई and 3 to 5% आप एक average property का appreciation मान के चलो, then your yield or total yield comes out to be 9%, which is higher than FD, which makes it a sensible risk to take. So this is a very simple rule that I will suggest, that if you are able to scout for properties where the rental yield is more than 4%, you should go and consider buying such properties. If your rental yield is less than 4%, then please don't do it. It does not make much sense. Now comes the natural question कि हमें तो property मिलती नहीं है जो 4% से कम हो. Okay guys, I have multiple properties. Every single property gives me more than 5% yield. Goa में I can show you at least 20-30 such properties where this is happening. Now I am organizing a conference in Goa. In case you are interested in Goa real estate market, I have nothing to sell you. I will just tell you the basics. I will help you see some properties also along the way. So this conference consists of 3 classes which are going to happen online, and then somewhere in March of 2024 we are going to meet in person in Goa. This is going to be a limited seated event. Only 200 seats are there. So in case you are interested in scouting for these type of options, I will help you out. I have gotten so many requests. If you are a Wisdom Hatch student already, then there is a special offer for you. In case you are not, then please check the links in the description and comment box for more information about this. But this is going to be an extremely helpful event. On the 3 online classes, I am going to tell you my way of scouting properties, how I exactly do it, what are the documentation, how to do construction, what are the points to keep in mind, how to lower your architect fees, interior designers fees, वगैरह वगैरह सब कुछ होगा. And on top of that, I will call experts from Goa real estate market also, who will sit with me and will help you understand the entire landscape here. Please notice that this is an offline plus online event. I will not pay for your tickets and all that. You will have to make all those travel lodging arrangements. The conference happens, the in-person part of it, in March of 2024. So I hope that this point is clear. And also, yes, this is only going to be a 200 seated event. That's it. The moment it gets filled, we are out. We will not be able to accommodate more. We just want to run a very small workshop. So anyways, back to the topic. Let's see, if you are able to scout for these type of deals, and trust me guys, these type of deals exist, then buying and investing in properties makes a lot of sense. Now let me explain that quick story by using couple of examples from Goa also. So see guys, if you're going and buying stuff in North Goa, a 3 BHK, 4 BHK luxury villa is going to cost you like 6 CR. Okay, which is very high price. Now the same villa in South might be available for 3.5, 4. Now the rent that you can charge from 6 CR is not 2x compared to this 3 CR villa or 3.5 CR villa that is there in South. So knowing all these basic differences, understanding which properties to avoid, which properties to buy is going to be a critical issue. That is example 1. Now let me give you another example, because you might not be interested in Goa real estate market, but one example that all of us can relate to is the example of high-rise, high-density buildings. Now what are high-rise, high-density buildings? For example, Mumbai, Gurgaon, all these cities have like skyscrapers, literally 20, 25, 30 small tan nahi hai, right? And who is doing the sales for this? Well, these are the builders, right? That they will go and do sales for these buildings. Now you are buying directly from builder, right? Now let's assume that you go and buy this unit there, okay? And what you witness is, you know what, 2-3 years have happened. Not all units have gotten sold. Some units are vacant. For example, this unit is vacant, this unit is vacant, this unit is vacant, and rest are filled, right? आपका plan change हो जाता है that you want to move away from this high-rise, high-density building. Probably you want to come to Goa and settle in whatever, and you are looking to sell this, right? Now think about it this, that the seller or the builder still has 3 inventories left. Your inventory is only 1. So can you compete against him in terms of selling also your unit? First and foremost, the builder will have massive distribution compared to you. Second, that builder can undercut you on prices. वो बढ़ने ही नहीं देगा prices. Why? Because think this way, that a builder only completes the building, at least in 80-90% of the cases, when he knows that he will be able to sell all the units. In fact, they take like pre-booking, right? ये pre-booking करा लेते हैं, and that is done. I can show you at least like 10 properties in Goa where these type of skyscrapers are built and the builder himself is struggling to sell it. Now, if on such a property, the builder himself is struggling to sell it, your property is not going to get sold that easily, or even if you try to undercut him, other person is definitely going to inquire, right? I mean, वो building watchman से पूछेगा, अच्छा, can you tell me which flats are empty? So then they will say कि अच्छा यार ये कुछ खाली हैं, and builder has given him our contact. Then the buyer will directly get in touch with the builder. Builder will undercut you on prices and you will struggle to sell. So my personal advice is that please never buy in high-rise, high-density type of projects. It is not worth it. So much construction is going on in Kadamba Plateau in Goa. It is turning out to be a bad scenario. Why? Because again, the Delhi-Mumbai model has been implemented here. Aaye, pahad kaate thode bahut, right? And building hai tandi. That is not what the charm of living in Goa is. So please understand the culture of a particular place or basics of a particular place. And in general, the number one tip that I can give you is please do not buy high-rise, high-density type of projects. Now, I'll get a lot of counter arguments कि दिल्ली में तो यही होता है, मुंबई में तो यही होता है, and therefore, guys, you are not able to figure out that 4% yield वाली चीज. If you are trying to own something, then own the yield also. And I'm having this entire discussion from an investment point of view. If your goal is that you know what, हमें तो हमेशा दिल्ली में रहना है, मुंबई में रहना है, and flat लेके रहना है, तो then it's fine, right? You are using it for your own purpose. You should not worry too much about thinking about it from an investment point of view. Now, the third point that I would like to discuss very quickly with you is that people get scared of getting into real estate, thinking कि यार 1 crore की investment है, 2 crore की investment है, 3 crore investment, this, that. See guys, 20% down payment and 80% loan you can get on majority of the properties. If it has very good rental yield, then your EMI gets offset. Just to help you understand the math here, that for example, assume the home loan to be 10%, and if the rental yield on that property is 6-7%, then can you not take a loan and make that property work for you? The answer is yes. This is not a push from my side that enter into real estate immediately. All I'm simply telling you is that the half of the game is one, if you are finding a good property where the rental yield itself is high. So this brings me to the next point that, okay, what type of property should we buy? Should we buy like a shop? Should we buy like a land? Should we buy like something else? See, please try to identify the use case of certain things. For example, if you are buying a property in Goa and if you want to do Airbnb on it, doing an Airbnb is easy. That is not a problem. But scouting for such properties is really tough. And many people end up owning properties in societies where Airbnb is not allowed. Then they keep on regretting that decision. So that is a poor investment. Similarly, if you buy a land and if you do not have the ability to get it constructed, that you're super busy, time ही नहीं है, interest नहीं है बनाने में कुछ, you don't know how to hire an architect, you don't know how to get the civil engineer, you cannot build a team, then आप खुद थोड़ी ईंटें लेके खड़े हो जाओगे. So there are a lot of challenges, right? So please understand the use case. If your perspective is that, you know what, I'm just going to buy a flat, rent it out, your rental yield is going to be bad. In such a scenario, you have to go and hunt for a lot more properties. I'm not saying that you cannot get a good flat. You can get a good flat. That is not an issue. But since that thing is the easiest, there are a lot more people trying to do exactly the same. So scouting for properties becomes a slightly more challenge-oriented thing. So please think about it. So आप plot खरीदो, shop खरीदो, वगैरह वगैरह खरीदो. It all comes down to your use case. So be very clear about it, that what your use case is. Now, final point is that please understand the saturation point on properties. For example, not North Goa market right now looks to me to be very saturated. Similarly, market, at least buying market in Delhi, Mumbai looks very saturated. Now, I cannot give you a list of cities that market is saturated here or here. I do not know about the entire India's real estate. I know about Goa's real estate. I know about Gwalior's real estate and Delhi real estate. So that is an area that I am familiar with. Real estate is a hyper local game. So from that perspective, please understand before making a substantial investment in any specific area about that saturation point, that where is the saturation. Even within Goa, for example, North Goa is saturated, but South Goa, according to me, is not. So you need to understand all these finer points. So that is the intent with which I am organizing this particular workshop. In case you guys are interested, you guys can sign up. You will get a lot of streamlined information in one go. At least you will not get caught in terms of something bad. So from that information perspective, you will get a lot of healthy viewpoints. So in summary, real estate is a very good investment. It's not as if that you need to rush and buy real estate today. Number 3, please understand the saturation point. More importantly, understand the 4% yield rule. It's a critical rule. आधे से ज़्यादा गलतियाँ वहीं पे हो जाती हैं. Don't buy in a high rise, high density type of a building. You will not have selling power and buying power. And please, if you're getting into the real estate, do understand the loan taking perspective on it as well. And on top of everything, it's not as if that real estate is bad or falana neemka is bad. As long as you know how to approach things intelligently, cultivate a knowledge oriented perspective in it, you will do well fairly in any asset class. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.